yesterday in the USC Pro Day, 17 bench press reps at 225 pounds. And he's raising money and he's doing things for cancer research to help out kids who grew up in situations like Jake. And he continues to be such an inspiration, and I'm so excited to have Jake on. And Jake, first of all, glad to have you on. But what got you into bench pressing at the USC Pro Day? Well, how did that come about?
Well, first off, thanks for having me on. But I came in to SC my freshman year around 180 pounds or so, and then fell in love with the weight room. Had a real coach who made an influence on my life in that aspect, and so kind of really over the last 4 years have grew to love the weight room. Like I said, I'm about 230 or 235 now, so definitely put on some good mass over the last 4 years. So I really wanted to just kind of participate in that way, in the sense of just being able to have fun at Pro Day and get as many reps as I could. But through that, I won the Uplifting Athletes Rare Disease Champion Award my freshman year, and they always use their recipients to raise money for them at the, through Pro Day, through Pledge It, which is kind of just an online campaign where, you pledge per bench press rep or whatever. And so I asked them if there's any way we could get a little more specific with it to, help actually retinoblastoma, the cancer I had. And they said, through their bylaws, they didn't know if they could get that specific with the exact donation. But I went and then found kind of a different avenue in the way that I could get specific with it, and talked to the researchers that were involved with my doctors growing up, and really kind of found out that it's a pinnacle moment right now in treating retinoblastoma, in the sense that they've come out with a device over the last year that my doctor had been working on for like 20 years, and it was in use. They put it in use for two kids last year, both 3 years old, up in Toronto, both in my exact situation I was 10 years ago, and that one eye left, exhausted all treatment options, kind of left with the reality of going to have their other eye removed and live a life of blindness. But they use this chemo plaque. It's a non-invasive way of just delivering chemo to the tumors in the eye, and it's cured both babies actually, and they're cancer free. So they really think this could be the new standard of treating retinoblastoma and making sure that no kid ever has to lose their eyesight to the cancer again.
So as you're going through this entire process of bench pressing and getting ready to have people come in and help out and donate and things like that, you did 17 reps though, Jake. How many have you done before? Was this your max amount, or what's your max in doing this? Because I think 17, and I've done this before, the bench press, in terms of training for it. How did the training go for it, and did you feel like you could still do more?
It was funny because I say, I definitely, my goal was 20, and I at least wanted to try for one more. Yesterday, 17 was a struggle. I kind of wanted to either fail at 18 or just keep going until I literally couldn't. But it's funny just how expectations change, because if you would have told me 2 years ago, 17 reps at 225, man, I would have been no way even to that extent. Because I remember my Rose Bowl, when my sophomore year, we were training for the Rose Bowl, was like the first time I ever actually had 225 on a bar for bench press, and I remember I barely did like 3 reps. Like, it just felt so heavy. I'm like, I don't understand how these guys, throw up, 20 reps at this. So, it was hard training though. I mean, it was ridiculous. The volume was crazy. I don't know. I think over the last 10 weeks, I probably put as much as I could into it. So I think probably around that 17, 18 mark is probably my max as of right now.
For those out there listening who want to donate, you can donate at pledgeit.org/Jake. That's pledgeit.org/Jake. And Jake Olson, USC long snapper, join us. You can also follow him on Twitter at JakeOlson61. So now, Jake, with this kind of celebrity that you have now, it's like this new fame over the last couple of years. I've seen you on many different shows. I've heard you on different radio stations as well. How has it been kind of overwhelming at times when you have to feel like you tell the story over and over again, or how do you embrace that?
Well, the cool thing, since ESPN kind of came up with the first story back when I was 12 years old, losing my sight, there's been some type of obviously buzz around my story, and they've updated the piece, and obviously it was nothing like after I snapped and kind of came to SC and everything, but no, I mean, I remember in high school there's a couple overwhelming points where when I was going out and speaking, and and I don't know, I remember one point it hit me, but at the end of the day, man, I think what keeps me sane through it all is that I love playing football. I love golfing. I love speaking to people. I love what I do. It's something I really, really enjoy. And it's not like I don't do it for people. I love going out there and inspiring people by playing football and playing golf. But at the end of the day, that's not the reason why I'm going and doing the things that I do, to please others or to inspire others necessarily. It's because it's just what I love doing. And it's just so awesome that alongside that, it goes hand in hand that I do get to inspire people by doing it.
Well, you're inspiring people for what you've done on the football field, but I think you're inspiring me because you're working to become a professional golfer. You understand, Jake, I've been trying to pick up golf for the longest, and I'm just a bigger guy. I can't swing the club. So you tell me, inspiring to be a professional golfer, how did that come about?
Well, I mean, it was actually probably my main sport, in the sense that, I remember right before I went blind at the age of 12, I had kind of almost set a goal for myself that I wanted to take golf seriously and just see how far I could take it. I was a pretty good golfer at the age of 12, but then obviously I lost my sight, and I became a 12-year-old who was pretty good at golf to a 12-year-old who literally couldn't protect more and more. And I soon learned that golf's a hard sport, but it is harder when you can't see the ball. It's a little no secret in this universe, but it was it was a lot of practice to get to just where I was when I could see, and then obviously advancing past that. But it's a game where it's repetition and muscle memory. My dad lines me up out there, and it's a really challenging game, obviously, but it's fun, man. It's different every time you go out there, and it's honestly probably what trained my mind, in my opinion, to long snap as well. Just because when I came upon the long snapping position in high school, it was like, okay, I do this with golf in the same sense that it's the same swing, it's the same tempo, feel. Let's just apply that to now snapping the ball 8 or 15 yards.
We're joined now by Jake Olson, USC long snapper. Look, Jake, I'm fascinated by this because, look, snapping, I've been around snappers, long snappers throughout my career when I was in college and in the NFL. I know how much snapping you guys do all day long, and, you can knock an apple off the top of a tree if you needed to. But I'm fascinated in this golf situation in terms of when you go out to the course, kind of walk me through it. Are you with the caddy? Does a caddy set you up? Tell me what goes into a round of golf when Jake Olson plays.
Yeah, so my dad's primarily out there. He's my guy, and for pretty much full range shots, between a driver and a pitching wedge, full pitching wedge, it's pretty much just caddy golf conversation, in the sense where it's picking a distance, talking, if wind's in your face or behind you, if it's uphill or downhill, all that kind of selection is just normal. And the only difference is, he'll get behind kind of my club, grab the face of the club, make sure it's the ball squarely in the face, and the face is towards target, and I'll take my stance, and then he pretty much backs up, and then from there it's just my swing. From a short game standpoint, where it gets a little more, I guess there's a little more of a discussion, in the sense that if it's, say, a 20-yard chip, there's now a discussion of, okay, what does this look like? Am I dealing with 15 yards of rough and 5 yards of green, or 12 yards of green and 8 yards of rough? Is it uphill? Am I do we want to kind of bump and run it or fly it to the pin? With putts, I will actually walk every putt to kind of get the exact distance, and then also feel, obviously if it's uphill or downhill. So if it's 20-foot putt, then I know I got to probably treat this more like a 24-foot putt, and just all feel at that point. Just kind of so many times I've been able to go out there and practice. What a 20-foot putt feels like, or what a 13-yard bump and run chip feels like, and it's just kind of repeating that over and over again.
Jake, what's your lowest score? Just so I know. What you got?
My lowest score is a 78 on 18, but I'm hoping to break that pretty soon.
He's Jake Olson, USC long snapper. Been blind since the age of 12. But the one thing I would say is, before you started playing football and things like that, I know you played other sports. I know you're a competitive guy from listening to you talking about your golf and now you're long snapping. What other sports do you compete in? Because you seem like the ultimate competitor.
Well, there's a beat baseball. It's definitely it's like a blind version of baseball. I've actually never played it, but I know there's a couple blind organizations here in Southern California that want me to try, and I think that'd be kind of fun. I've always really enjoyed the game of baseball. I played when I was young, but like I said, I lost my left eye at the age of 1, so I couldn't see out of my left eye, and so I didn't really have good peripheral vision, and I was a right-handed hitter, so I just really couldn't pick up the ball a lot of times and quick enough, and so I was beaten so many times. The 10-year-old pitchers aren't the most accurate pitchers, so I gave up the game of baseball pretty soon after being like hit in the face like 3 times, but. I remember basketball was another, I was always kind of taller, so I actually loved playing basketball. There's a period in 5th grade, I remember, where I was going through some treatment, and it had caused some hemorrhaging to my right eye, so it really was just kind of black dots all over my vision. I really couldn't see, but I could, see shadows a little bit. I remember I played in, my 5th grade basketball team. All I could do was, hear the ball and see shadows. That was, I could defend at least. I tried to shoot a couple times, but man, it was a fun time.
$52,000 and counting being raised for cancer research by Jake Olson. Pledgeit.org/Jake. Pledgeit.org/Jake. And look, Jake, it doesn't seem like when people talk to you, when they meet you, it doesn't seem like you get down too much. So if there's been anything that you can, I guess, pass on to others who are listening and watching out there, what would you tell them about overcoming life's obstacles?
Well, like you pointed out, one of my favorite quotes in life is, "If you take life too seriously, you'll never make it out alive." And so, that's the first thing, is just understanding that, life isn't fair. When I go out and speak, I never tell people that, life is fair. I don't sugarcoat anything. Sometimes 12-year-olds go blind. Sometimes people are taken away from us when they're not supposed to, and sometimes relationships break up, whatever the case is. There's a lot of unfairness in life, but that doesn't mean you have to give up on your hopes and dreams. That doesn't mean you have to forfeit on the things you love to do. It's kind of that personal decision. It's one of the hardest decisions to go down that more challenging road than just to sit home and sulk and feel sorry for yourself. But the more satisfying route is going down that harder route and knowing that it is going to be harder. It's going to be different. You're going to have to find a little different way to do it or work harder than the next person. But at the end of the day, it's so much more worth it when you kind of have that mindset and choose to put that work in.
Jake, you'll be graduating in May with your MBA from USC. What are you getting your degree in?
Business. Yeah. So business, and I've actually started a business with my manager, Daniel. We kind of created this online booking platform for talent called Engage. It's letsengage.com, and we're actually really excited about it. We kind of actually got it rolling, and so in the next couple of years here, I think we're really going to try to just put as much effort into it as we can.
Jake, I remember when I graduated from college, and I remember the emotions that kind of came over me, because it was like, I did it. So when you kind of think about now in May, when you walk across that stage, when you get that piece of paper, when you get that handshake, what's kind of some of the emotions that you think you'll be going through?
It's going to be weird just because, SC's been, and it will always be home for me. But, I mean, since the age of 12, I've been going up there, and obviously it was a safe haven for me when I was 12. And throughout high school and obviously now at college, I've been up to SC a lot, and it's been kind of this place where I can just go there and have friends and family. And so I know I'll be able to visit, but, there is this kind of, graduating from it, obviously, literally. But, it's going to be weird. I'm sure there'll be some sadness and kind of, reminiscing. I'm kind of a nostalgic guy a little bit, but at the same time, man, when you're ready to kind of move on, and there's other opportunities that are coming your way, and there's just so many, so I tell people, like, the second semester of senior year, man, I'm missing so much class. It's not because I'm a second semester senior and that I just don't want to go to class. It's just like there's so many meetings and other things I'm going to that's just, you kind of tell that, okay, school, I've learned what I can learn here. I've learned all that I should learn here. Now it's time to go kind of apply it.
Jake, you're an inspiration to so many, man, and it was such an honor to not only talk to you, but to continue to watch you grow and develop. And best of luck to not only graduation, but all your endeavors after you leave USC. Appreciate it, Jake.
Thank you guys so much. Fight on.
Fight on. That was Jake Olson, USC long snapper.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.